Hey, how's it going? It's JPChivalry going live with Umineko When They Cry. Or Umineko no Naku Koro ni Chiru. Chiru? This is probably a bad idea. I should probably go to sleep. That's fine. I gotta fix my sleep schedule. But also, let me do something real quick. Just 1 second. Okay. I should have done this during the BRB, but I'm fine. Anyways, we're good. Just tweeted. Anyways, let's see what beats TV. FFC. Go over here. And yeah. Just finished episode 6. Discovered that Erica doesn't count as an 18th person. So let's see what's up. Episode 7, Requiem of the Golden Witch. Good morning. Scheduled for today is the funeral of the Golden Witch and her game. The days of the game are already over, and nothing remains but fond memories. Here the cold hard truth will be revealed, and death will come to the game. There is a bit of difficulty this one. A bit of difficulty? I think the last one said it was supposed to be easy. So, I don't know. I don't know if I trust it. Trust those notes anymore. Alright. Let's see what happens. What awaits us in the Requiem? The story is very obviously fictional and fantastic in nature. Any resemblance to existing individuals, organizations, locations, or incidents is entirely coincidental. Earth to earth. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. Illusions to illusions. And dreams to dreams. A dream is something drawn in the sand between the coming and receding waves. Something so fragile that it's wiped blank every time a wave comes in. So the heartless might sneer, saying that drawing such things is useless and meaningless. However, no wave will ever come again to wipe away the dream she drew. And now that final, beautiful dream of hers will not disappear for all eternity. Whoops. Come, try and picture it. It is as though the rays of the gentle afternoon sun up on a warm spring day. The rays of the gentle afternoon sun. Oh, okay. Simply forgot to grow dim ever again. It truly is such a wonderful thing. Witness to your final dream. Publius Virgilia Maro. Oh, is this a chapel? Oh. The suspects were gathered in a room, and several inquisitors of heresy were reporting on the results of their investigation. Their uniforms closely resembled those of Eisner Jungfrau, but they were slightly different. Also different were the badges signifying their department. Then came the sound of someone clapping their hands once. It was the lead female inquisitor. She was announcing that all reasoning had been completed. As has been shown, it is all quite clear. Know that the preceding logic has proven the non-existence of your alibi. At the other end of her pointing finger was a quivering maid with frightened eyes. Her name was... No, that's not important. What matters now is that she could have entered the closed room study where the victim was found whenever she pleased. And furthermore, that her claimed alibi for the time of the crime has been proven to contradict the facts. Shaking, the maid tried to continue in her illogical pleading, but all of her statements had already been seen through. With this, we conclude our proof of the whodunit and the howdunit. Know that your position as the culprit is now an unshakable fact. You must be joking. Why would I kill the master I loved and respected so? I have no motive, no reason. Who did it, and how? Know that establishing these is more than sufficient. Please, allow me to speak. Know that motives are unnecessary mysteries. The Inquisitor spoke coldly. What's going on with Shannon? Oh? After finishing her witch's prayer, Vigilia stepped back from the coffin, which lay on an altar, bedecked with many beautiful roses. Bedecked? In her place, Battler moved to the front of the coffin, wearing his territory lord's cape. Though the cape was supposed to represent dignity and majesty, it somehow made Battler look smaller. Battler held a book with a majestic binding in his hand. It was a game record that had just been written. Or perhaps it was a tale, a game, or else a fragment. Written in it was the dream that would be more enjoyable for her than any other. Battler pressed it against his forehead and contemplated for some time. Then he kissed it, and laid it gently in the coffin. It rested upon her chest. She looked like a little girl clutching her favorite stuffed animal as she drifted off to sleep. This old tale I have to offer up you. This tale will be shut up with you in your coffin for all eternity. So, no one will be able to read it except for you, there, in your coffin. Shut away in that cat box, the only, unchanging, inviolable, eternal tale. This way. No one will be able to defile it. No one can deny it. And no one can argue against it. This is just between me and her. Just the two of us. Our one and only certain truth. Those bastards! The man dashed through a town wrapped in twilight. The daytime hustle and bustle of this beautiful village, which combined the traditional with the orderly and the classic style of the last century, now seemed like a mere dream. The orange setting sun was already hidden behind the clock tower, and the narrow alleyway was rapidly descending into darkness. As the gas lights began to turn on, they only made the darkness of the twilight stand out all the more. The man sprinted. There was no time. He had to hurry. He'd had several experiments to do and things he had to check, and it had all taken longer than he'd expected. Yes, there's no mistake there. The whodunit and howdunit are more than enough in the mystery genre. In the mystery genre, the motive, or the whydunit, is given the lowest priority. To have a murder, you need to have a culprit, and he needs to commit crime. Motive isn't required for that, so it's usually the most ignored element. In fact, these days, there are even some who call it unnecessary. You find the culprit with nothing but the whydunit, that's no mystery. That's propaganda. However, just because of that fact, doesn't mean you can neglect the motive, the heart. We both know how much fun she'll be having in her final sleep, so I doubt anyone could disturb it. After all, who could possibly disturb a sleeping child smiling at a happy dream? Come, it is time for us to leave. If we're too noisy, we'll wake her from her dream. You're right. What else should you do with a sleeping kid? Except put a blanket on them, turn off the lights, and walk away quietly. After looking at the coffin one last time, Virgilia turned around quietly. Battler did the same, but then he stopped and turned to face the rose-covered altar. Battler offered up his final words within his heart. As long as those words didn't leave his mouth, no one would be able to know what they were. However, those words of the heart caused Battler's expression to change several times. At first, he frowned sadly. Then his face clouded with remorse, and then changed to a bitter, exasperated smile. It flashed through several varied expressions. Then the final expression that crossed his face was surprisingly a gentle smile. Something rose to Battler's lips. However, he bit it back down. There could certainly be no words to describe the many feelings he kept in his chest. So, saying anything loud would probably be crude. Battler understood this and stopped himself from speaking once more with a wry smile. Thank you. Oh, I have done nothing to deserve your gratitude. I'll leave the rest to you. After seeing Virgilia nod back at him, Battler turned away from the altar one more time and left the chapel. Virgilia also disappeared, and with that, all disturbances that might have interrupted her blissful sleep had vanished. The Inquisitors of Heresy listened with scornful gazes. They listened to the frantic babbling of the maid accused of murdering her master. However, nothing she said could bury the fault in her own alibi. They were all mere emotional arguments. I loved and respected the master so much. I had no motive for killing him. No matter how much she spoke, it only made her look more and more like the floundering true culprit struggling pathetically. The requirements for the whodunit and howdunit had been satisfied. As for the whydunit, the motive, the heart, no matter how much she spoke for her master, how much she spoke with gratitude for her master, who had graciously given her a job when she'd been left by the wayside after various misfortunes, didn't help her case in the slightest in the Mr. John. Lick? What's up, Psycho? Therefore, her motive didn't matter. All of that could just be squeezed out of the culprit afterwards. An Inquisitor of a Heresy took out a roll of parchment and held it forth, cutting off the maid's sobs and protests. Woof woof. This is how you committed the crime. Know that this indictment has been received by the Great Court and that your arrest has been approved. Here is the warrant for your arrest. Motive is unnecessary. Know that such a thing is completely extraneous to the matter of pinpointing the culprit. Please, allow me to speak. Know that we of the SSVD possess methods of forcing unrepentant criminals to reveal the truth. With these interrogation tools blessed by the powers of justice, we Inquisitors of Heresy will strap up your limbs, burn you, crush you, stretch you, and hang you, and in so doing bring the red truth out of you. It isn't even necessary for you to confess. Aides, arrest that maid. It wasn't me. I didn't kill the master. No. Oh? Who's this guy? Hold it right there. You've got the wrong culprit. The man kicked the door open, and the Inquisitors were all shocked at the sight of him. Why are you here? Know that this case is no longer your responsibility. Quiet. You find one person without an alibi and just assume that she's the culprit? Do you really think there's no need for a motive for a heart in crime? Crimes are committed by people. There are no crimes without a heart. I'll never accept a theory that neglects the heart. Doing Discord work after not doing jack shit for months. It's that time. Know that your obsession over the why done it is simply embarrassing. The why done it is unnecessary. Such a thing can be extracted easily through interrogation. Even the Great Court has already acknowledged that this woman is the culprit. True, the Great Court does assume that everyone besides the maid has an alibi. That's just because they heard you say so. And they've mistaken your overconfidence and conceit for wisdom. If any one of the other suspects loses their alibi, your evidence so far proves nothing. Just look at how pathetic some of these other alibis are. Did the clock in the reception hall chime midnight at exactly the right time? Did the dog by the back door bark at everyone? So you managed to prove the maid's alibi false. Congratulations. But does it end there? It may have been possible for her to do it, but does she have any motive at all? Are the alibis for the others absolutely perfect? This maid wasn't the only one with the false alibi. You have to keep on searching if you want to find the others. Is there some sort of grudge against the victim, or some money-related problem? Don't abandon motive, don't abandon the heart. Dry mysteries where the motive can just be figured out later aren't worth anyone's time. If the maid isn't the culprit, then why does she fake an alibi? Even asking such a question is a waste of time. Know that we just have to interrogate her, bring out the red truth, have her sign in red blood to everything that happened at the time of the crime. Yeah, you probably can do that. You can just use that torture of yours to squeeze out everything frankly and objectively as seen from the eyes of God. But you know what? I'll never accept mysteries and theories that lack heart. I've already taken over responsibility for this case. I even have a decree right here. Come now, aides. Know that there is no reason to hesitate. I order you to arrest this maid. When she gave this order, our subordinates hesitated, looking back and forth between their superior and that man. I won't let you. The real culprit's a different person. It's possible to use motive to find them. And their alibi trick is an old one. Can't neglect the heart. But there's no need for that. We just have to find the suspicious ones who could have committed the crime, interrogate them, and squeeze out the red truth. On the off chance that they aren't the culprit, then we just have to interrogate the next suspect. You call that reasoning? Stand back. We will arrest that woman. Know that this maid is the culprit. It is forbidden for a servant to be the culprit. What? Well, maybe for that case. What did you say? The words of power blasted away the aides trying to arrest the maid. Van Dyne's 20 rules. Rule number 11. If you want to torture this maid, make sure you double-check the alibis with the second wife and her lover first. Those two already have a clear alibi for the time of the crime. That an alibi? Damn it. A fool like you couldn't understand no matter how easy I make it for you. If you want to call yourself the head inquisitor, try and figure out at least that much for yourself. Till then, I'll be taking that means of arrest warrant. And what about you? Can you prove that this maid didn't commit the crime? Know that she was clearly away from the kitchen at the time of the crime. What was she doing then, and where? She can't prove it. I can't prove it, and you can't prove it. No one can. That's why we have no choice but to use these torture devices to interrogate her until the red truth is squeezed out. You can squeeze as much blood and truth from the true culprit as you damn well please. However, I won't let you interrogate or torture anyone who isn't that culprit. This is why everyone says you're too soft. All the suspicious must be interrogated. That is how we Inquisitors of Heresy conduct our witch trials. That's right, we are Inquisitors of Heresy. Felling evil witches is our job. However, we mustn't risk hurting the innocent. We mustn't put them under suspicion. All humans have their own personal truths. Those should only be exposed when they commit crimes. We've been given the right to expose them, but there's one thing we can't do. What? Yeah, the Discord needs updating. It's been too long. No one, not even God, has the right to expose the innocent truths of those who have not sinned. The maid finally realized that he was trying to protect her. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Very much. I'm really not the culprit. Yeah, I know. Your boyfriend said he'd be willing to give up everything to prove your alibi. You should thank him. That kid said that honor and reputation are worth nothing compared to you. But if he does that, won't come to that. Exposing the secrets between lovers is a job for third-rate magazines. That's not mystery. I'll never allow for heartless reasoning. Then, for the first time, the man's sullen expression relaxed, and he patted the maid's head roughly. I'm sure you two will be happy together. Still, meeting together in secret while on the job is hardly praiseworthy. Try to keep that to a minimum. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. These words were heard only by the two of them. The man had learned of her innocence, which could only be proven by exposing the secrets of a pair of young lovers. He had rushed about in search of a solution, resentful of the arrogance of those trying to expose this by forcible means. The point of theory making is not to create a culprit. or to trample the truths that lie in the hearts of those who have not sinned. If you want to play the detective, don't neglect the heart. Otherwise, we're just intellectual rapists. Don't forget it. When the man spoke, the Inquisitors no longer had any way to argue back. This man's name is Will. Yet, that's not what everyone used to call him. Head Inquisitor of Heresy of the SSVD, the 8th District Repentance Enforcement Agency of the Great Court of Heaven. Wizard Hunting Wright. Will Wright? Wait. Shit, where did we hear that name before? Crap. He was the Wait. He's the father of something. Okay. Willard H. Wright. Member of the SSVD, the 8th District Repentance Enforcement Agency of the Great Court of Heaven. Inquisitor of Heresy and the First Class Archbishop. He's commonly known as the Rite of the 20 Wedges, or Wizard Hunting Rite. 20 wedges. Is that the blue wedges? He was an ace Inquisitor of Heresy in his youth, feared for being both ruthless and merciless in his work. However, at some point, there was a change in his work attitude, and his previous flashy escapades became a thing of the past. His current style is often fickle, alternating between laziness and obsessive bursts of energy regarding mere trifles. By now, everyone has given up trying to understand him. He has already filed his resignation and had it accepted. Only a few days remain before he'll lose the name of Wright. Marcustel. The Witch of Miracles and Miko to the Witch of Theatergoing. In the 7th game, she conducts Beato's funeral. She was defeated in the previous game, making her the loser. She has proclaimed that she will tear out the guts of Beato's game to satisfy her irritation, and yet... Ushiruma Maria, a little magician who has inherited the black blood from Kinzo. Unlike Kinzo, she was gifted with talent and began to tread the path of the magician from a young age. However, her power is still weak, and she hasn't yet graduated from an apprentice's level. However, she is skilled with enchantments, which bestow magical power upon objects, and the magical items she creates are all masterclass. Beatrice, the Golden Witch, who has lived for 1,000 years. She has passed the limits of humans and, like demons, will sometimes appear in response to the summons made by humans, to offer her power in exchange for a price. She likes black tea and ice cream. She hates boredom and people who deny her existence. Virgilia. This is the same. I'd say that's the same. And then Renove. Cookies. Gap. I feel like those are the same. And then we got Mammon. Belphegor. Beelzebub. Satan. I think in the next episode we'll read all these again, just in case. And then, where's Leviathan? There's Leviathan. Where's Asmodeus? Is that all of them? 1, 2, 3. I think that's all of them. Okay. Ah, nothing in there. What are the tips? Oh, we got tips. SSVD. This game does suffer a bit from Symphony of Night syndrome, I've noticed. How's the music, or? SSVD. One of the repentance enforcement agencies under the direct supervision of the Great Court of Heaven. Responsible for the 8th District. It has a long history of even among the other enforcement agencies, and is known for its strict and fundamentalist attitude. Many say that they do not keep up with the times, but they are also highly praised by some for continuing to preserve the basis of the law's spirit to this very day. It is additional for their head Inquisitor of Heresy to inherit the name Wright. Oh, wait, but I was thinking of Phoenix Wright. Where did that pop up? That was like episode 5 or 6. It's too much music. It's too dramatic and overbearing. I guess. It's a visual novel. This is the last thing I have to pass on to you guys. If you want to be the next wizard hunting right, remember it. No matter what. Like I'm full. This is too big a meal. Oh? New OP? That was a cool OP. I guess to be fair, we did finish episode 6 and just immediately go into this. Quietly. The rain fell down. The rain of sadness stripped down the outer walls of the chapel, quietly washing away the dust of the world of the living. The chapel doors were open. During a wedding, only those with invitations are allowed inside. However, during a funeral, the doors are open to all who remember the deceased. So, this must be a funeral. A shadow holding an umbrella approached the chapel. It was Will. New visitor approaches? Wait, is Will a new character on the island? A reception desk had been set up at the chapel's entrance. As the shadow approached, Cannon, who had been sitting at this desk, stood up and welcomed them with a bow. This is the reception desk. We are collecting the names of all mourners. If you would sign in here. Sorry, but I'm not a mourner. I'm here to meet with someone. Came to a funeral to meet someone? A dubious expression rose to Cannon's face. Will pulled an envelope from his pocket and showed him the sender's name. My apologies. Please, enter. Thanks. Could I at least have one of those? Thank you very much. I am sure she will be pleased. Cannon had in him one of the set of golden roses, which are being handed out to all the mourners. Will took it, silently bowed his head, and entered the chapel. Alright, let me check Steam real quick. I wonder how many hours I have. 39.3? It doesn't seem accurate. I guess I'll have to wait up till after I finish. Also, what if I... Death counter? Okay, I guess we're good. Inside the chapel, several people who appeared to be the family of the deceased were gathered. They all seemed to be recalling memories of the departed. Oh, Beatrice! Yes. Why? Why? Oh. Father, please, take care. Why don't you rest in the waiting room for a bit? I killed her. I did it. Absurd. How could that be, Rosa-sama? Father's really bawling. Yeah, Beatrice, huh? I'm sure he didn't cry this much when Mother passed away. Hey, now's not the time to say things like that. Some sobbed, unable to conceal their tears, and some spoke softly of old memories. They were all remembering the dead in their own way, it seemed. When Will approached the altar, several people turned around. Of course, none of them knew who Will was. Paying this no mind, Will walked in front of the casket on the altar, which seemed to be buried under golden roses. Inside the casket, there was no corpse. Instead, as though it lay there in place of a body, was a single thick book with an extravagant binding. Space all around it was filled with countless golden roses. There were words printed on the book's cover. To my beloved Beatrice, October 5th, 1986. Is this like after purgatory? Miss Beatrice. If it was Mrs., then forgive me. Never met you. However, allow me to express my condolences. I took the rose he had received from the reception area and placed it in the casket. He had absolutely no connection to the woman called Beatrice. However, since he had come to visit a funeral, he had to show this minimum amount of respect for the dead. As part of this, Will prayed for the passage of the dead into the next world. Pardon me. But who might you be? I am Ushiromia Kraus. I'm serving as the chief mourner. This is my child, Lion. Lion? Whoa, what? Pleased to meet you. I'm Ushiromia Lion. What's going on here? The first child of Kraus and Natsuhi, Jessica's their second child, is given the civil ring of the successor to the headship and will succeed the position of family head upon turning 20. Mild, polite, without any clear faults, except being too young, Lion is a more suitable successor than anyone else and is adored by Kenzo. So he's the guy from 19 years ago? But this is if he survived. Huh. Lion? Who the heck are you? It's written as, but pronounced Leon. Oh, Leon. I guess it is a bit strange for a Japanese name. Will stared at Leon's face, wearing a confused expression. He hadn't seemed particularly interested in Kraus, but Leon had apparently drawn some sort of reaction from him. Rather than interest, it was more as though he felt like something was out of place. Kraus-sama, Madame says it is about time. Ah, I see. Ladies and gentlemen, if we're too noisy in here, it may disturb the dead. I've been told that the waiting room has been ready. Shall we move over there? And Kraus called out to everyone that began to move towards the chapel waiting room. My apologies. Leon, could you entertain our guests for now? I'll guide the others to the waiting room. Yes, Father. Like a natural conversation with no awkwardness for either father or child. Father and child, is it? Yes, but why do you ask? Ushiromia Kraus's child is supposed to be Jessica. Jessica's my little sister. Do you need me to call for her? No, that won't be necessary. Apparently, some sort of game was already being played right off the bat. Scratching at his head with an irritated look on his face, Will glanced around. Pardon me, but what sort of relation did you have with the deceased? None at all. It's a real pain. Then why did you come to this funeral? Since Leon was a fairly mild person, Will's behavior was met with nothing more than a blank expression. A normal person would probably have put on a dubious look long before this. Will scratched his head again and yelled angrily at someone other than Leon. I'm here. Isn't it about time you showed your face? The members of the Ushiromia family had already followed Krause's instructions and moved to the waiting room. By now... Whoops. Hitting the mic. By now, no one could be seen in this cold, vast chapel decorated with gold roses except for Will and Leon. No one could be seen. Nice. So, you've come. Wizard hunting right. Inquisitor of heresy. The girl's voice came suddenly from behind the pair. When Leon turned around in surprise, a girl had appeared out of nowhere and drifted down on top of the altar. She landed softly on the sacred funeral altar as though this was perfectly normal, crushing the golden roses under her shoes. Of course, Leon didn't know this girl. Just why on earth were all of these people unrelated to the funeral popping up one after another? I'm already retired. If you have a job to be doing, go ask the new, right? No. You're the one I want to ask. I'm giving this case to you. Did you read the tale I sent you? I skimmed it. I don't know who you are, but please get down from there. That's a sacred altar. Snapping out of a daze, Leon told the girl to get down off the altar, but she ignored this completely. On top of that, Will kept on talking to the girl as though Leon wasn't even there. I hear this is Leon. Who is that exactly? You've already heard who. Ushiromia Leon. There's no case of a person with that name appearing in any of the previous games. Is this your piece? No. It's a true and proper piece of this game board. A character appearing in the story. You're the game master. That means it's your piece. Giggle. I've just moved from Beato's cat box into a larger cat box. Leon is one of the pieces who has a possibility of appearing inside it. Ah, I see. In other words, it's your piece. It's a piece I've placed, would be the correct way to say it. So you're saying this piece isn't your subordinate like Erica? Erica? Who's that? Giggle, giggle. Erica, son? Don't try to understand. You'll just get a headache. Leon didn't have a clue what they were talking about. However, though neither person was familiar, it seemed clear that they both knew a lot about the Ushiromia family. No, I don't know what you two are talking about. Anyway, you, girl, please get down off the altar. I asked this as the successor to the Ushiromia family headship. Even Leon was finally forced to speak in a raised voice to that girl, who continued to chat while casually standing on the altar. However, the girl ignored this completely. On the other hand, Will did show a reaction. The successor is supposed to be Krause. My father, Krause, will be the acting head until I turn 20. Then I am to succeed the headship. First I've heard of this. Can you prove it? It seemed that even Leon was starting to get ticked off by now. That calm expression appeared to twitch slightly. This is the successor silver ring of the one-winged eagle. Is that proof enough for you? A silver ring? The golden head's ring has appeared several times, but I've never heard anything about a silver ring for the successor. I don't remember Krause or Jessica ever wearing one of those. Giggle. I'm glad. For someone who's just skimmed it, it seems you've read it pretty well. When a witch hands you a story, you never know when something absurd will pop up. Especially when it's a great witch from the Senate. What? Who in the world? Are you two? Sorry, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. If you finish offering flowers for the departed, please make your exit. Seems you two aren't worthy of our family's hospitality. Leon finally ran out of patience. These were the strictest words that this gentle kid could unleash. However, Will and the girl seemed not to care at all. I didn't come here because I wanted to. We're wasting time. Let's move onwards. Right. Try and beat this game. As the game master, Bernkastel, I invite you to join in. I refuse. Why? I'm retired now. Reasoning and mysteries aren't my business anymore. How do you intend to spend the rest of your life? Is wizard hunting right going to give up witch hunting? There's still fox hunting and clam hunting to look forward to. Didn't come here to discuss the rest of my life with you. So, you came here to refuse. Know that your powers of deduction are truly a sight to behold. Then, do as you will. Go wherever you please. That is, assuming that you can leave this place. So, what are the terms and payment? In truth, Will had resigned himself from the beginning. He knew that he was incapable of refusing an invitation from the great Lady Bernkastel. Who killed Beatrice? That's my game. In payment, I'll forgive you for your insolence and let you leave this chapel. I hear that boredom-hating witches just love being spoken to rudely. That's only for hags who've tired of life after 1,000 years. I'm still plenty young, so I love thinking up horrible fates in which to trap rude men like you. So, who's my enemy? There is none. There's no one to stand in your way. I just want to sit back and watch you make your beautiful checkmate in this game. I've even found you an ally. That's what this Leon is for. After hearing that name spoken out of the blue, Leon frowned once more. Apparently they were moving things along without Leon's knowledge or understanding, which the latter seemed to find truly irritating. Leon is a member of the Ushurmia family, and should prove to be a useful ally, seeing as no one in the family knows you. I'm not sure what this is all about, but I can hardly be of assistance until I know what's going on here. There, see? With help like this, it'll be a piece of cake. Entertain me, my master, wizard hunting, right? Well, maybe a polite theater goer. But I might throw popcorn at you if I get bored, okay? Will scratched at his head with a displeased look on his face. He wasn't at all interested in getting involved, but by now he realized that he couldn't disobey Bernkastel's orders. Then he approached the casket and pointed at its rose-filled insides. You asked me to solve the case of Beatrice's murder, but Van Dyne's 20 rules, rule number 7, it is forbidden to have a crime without a corpse. That's the devil's proof. Maybe it just isn't inside the casket. Unless you can prove that no corpse exists, this is mystery. Rule number 1 is forbidden to have a crime without all clues presented. Don't worry, everything is gathered here. Though there was no change to Will's unsatisfied expression, he seemed to have understood the general pattern of this place. The simple fact that a mere inquisitor of heresy had been summoned by an uninhibited, fickle, cruel great witch of the Senate meant that he'd be treated as no more than a mere underling. All along he had possessed no way to refuse her. So, who killed the owner of this empty coffin? I'll answer that question. However, you'll let me do things my way. As you like. First off, I need to make you understand the current situation. Yes, that would be extremely helpful at the moment. Leon's expression seemed nonplussed, angry, and confused, all at the same time. Over here. It'll be faster to see it for yourself. Wonderful. Please, lead the way. Will signaled with his chin for Leon to follow him and spun around. After snorting once in an unsatisfied manner, Leon followed him, as though resigned to see Will's little show. As she watched them leave the chapel, Perkistel sneered silently at them, a cold smile on her face. As the Miko of the Great Witch of theater going, drama, and spectating, feathering something aurora. And as the Witch of Miracles, I, Perkistel, announce the start of this game. The tale's title is Requiem of the Golden Witch. Spin a tale fitting for Beato's funeral. Giggle, giggle. Well now, let's see just how you drag out the guts. She watched until the pair had left the chapel. Perkistel's form evaporated into the empty air, just as she had arrived. All that remained was her unpleasant cackling. Outside, it was still raining. When Kennen saw the guests and the successor approaching the reception desk, he bowed deeply. Good work. You can take a break now, so would you mind leaving? It's Kennen. Yes, as you wish. Kennen bowed deeply, then disappeared. Don't you remember the names of all your servants? Our family has many young servants coming in and out, and they're usually replaced quite frequently. Well now, what are you trying to explain to me? Who are you and what business do you have with this family? Of course, there's no need to convince me. Feel free to head on home, if you want. There is no going home. Not for me. Not for anyone. Could you please give that a rest? Stop speaking in confusing riddles like that all the time. Even I have limits to my patience. If you don't want me to see you off, should I call Genji or Goto? Don't freak out. Look at this. Yes, I can see that. It's one of the memorial roses. Are you going to show me some kind of magic trick? Will took one of the flower offerings, then showed it to Leon, as though pointing out that there were no mechanisms or tricks. Then he slowly lifted it upwards. Watch. Yes, I'm watching. Is a dove gonna fly out of it? Or is it gonna be flags and fireworks? Huh? Will threw the rose. Anyone would have expected it to fly in an arc and land in some puddle. It didn't, which is why Leon had been struck dumb. The rose thrown by Will certainly had flown in an arc. It should have sped on rapidly through the air. However, as soon as it passed out from the shade of the eaves and was about to reach the rain, it stopped right in midair, as though the air surrounding it had turned into syrup. That wasn't all. As it hung in midair, the rose's beautiful golden petals began to darken, one after another. And it became a black husk, like burnt charcoal. And even after this happened, it remained suspended there in the air. What sort of trick is this? Ah! Don't move. Leon had moved closer to try and touch the remains of the rose, which still hung in the air. Will had roughly blocked the way with his arm. It was as though he was telling Leon that leaving this place meant certain death. This chapel has been cut off from the fragment. We're currently locked in a concentrated loop of time. What? What do you mean by that? Explaining's a pain, so I'll just give you the short version. Basically, unless we play along with that witch's game, no one can leave this place. What? The funeral was already over. I'm sure some people will want to return to the mansion or the guest house. We can't be locked up in here. If you've got a bone to pick, that witch is the one you're looking for. Being stuck in a place like this isn't any more pleasant for me. That girl's your friend, right? Make her stop all this weirdness. She's probably sitting in a spectator seat with a bucket of popcorn about now. She won't come if we just call her. What on earth is going on? That short sentence described all of Leon's feelings at that moment. However, Leon had seen the rose wither in an instant in the rainy darkness. Leon tried doing the same thing with another rose, but the effect was exactly the same. No one would want to use their own body to test this fearsome something that could make roses crumble instantly. There's only one way for us to be released from here. We have to play along with Berncastell's game. You mean the one about who killed Beatrice? That's what she's telling us to investigate. If you could fill me in, this will go more quickly. That fickle witch will be completely satisfied. You'll be able to get rid of the two of us, and I have a date with Diana when I get back. If I keep her waiting too long, she'll start tearing up the sofa again. Diana? Who killed Beatrice, you say? That's hardly something you should go barging into a funeral and asking the family about. Questioning the family is one of the basics of the mystery genre. Just give up and accept it. I do know that Beatrice is the mistress of Kinzo, the family head. You really are a strange person. How do you know so much about this family? Are you sure you have no connections with us? Will knew this much about the Ushiromea family, because Berncastel had shown him all of the fragments so far. Of course, he had no sort of connection with the Ushiromea family himself. The very plane of his existence was on a different level. However, Beatrice died a long, long time ago. According to Genji, she passed away before the mansion was completed, but the reason for her death is unclear. To be honest, this is the first time I've heard about her being killed. Tell me about it. My name is Ushiromea Leon. Willard. Call me Will. For the first time, Will introduced himself. Their mutual introduction was finally complete, and Leon was finally able to talk with him on an even footing. However, Leon took a deep breath and looked up at the sky, wearing a vague smile. Will-san. Call me Will. I'll call you Leon. Will. To be honest, even I don't know much about this person called Beatrice. I see. Guess it's called a game for a reason. Only Leon could have told him everything, revealing the truth without any effort from Will. Apparently things wouldn't be so easy after all. Everyone who enters the Ushiromea family knows the name and image of Beatrice. That's because of the massive portrait hanging in the entrance hall, isn't it? That portrait was first displayed in April of 1984. So 2 years before. Okay. Seriously? How is it that you know so much? Well, it's about time I stopped finding that odd. I'm sure you'll just start speaking in riddles again. Leon was the successor and lived in the head household. That made conversations with Kinzo an everyday occurrence. Because of this, Leon must have been used to chatting with people who were moody or hard to follow. With the understanding that getting stuck on the details would be nothing but a waste of time, the conversation naturally fell into a pattern as though Leon and this unknown man Will were longtime friends. Everyone knows Beatrice, and yet no one knows her. Kinzo's the only one who's ever met her. The head seems to be particularly cranky today. I'll introduce you to him when the chance presents itself. So I'll ask that you develop an appropriately discreet attitude, Wilson. That was quick. Thought you'd resist a bit more than that. I'm used to speaking with the family head. I've learned to accept most unreasonable situations and just go with the flow. Berncastel had set up a barrier cutting the chapel off from the rest of the world. To destroy that, I would find out who killed Beatrice. For Leon, who had already experienced many of Kinzo's rantings, understanding this much was more than enough. So I guess we're starting after October 5th? How does that work, though? Because they're all supposed to be dead, right? The Ushimiya family members were relaxing here and there around the waiting room. A light buffet-style meal had been set up, but it was a bit stale and not particularly appealing. Even so, those voracious kids seemed to find it intensely interesting. The cousins had set up camp around it, with Maria at the center. The adult siblings had also formed a group in a different corner. Perhaps because of Kinzo's absence, everyone seemed to be a little more relaxed. Leon, where did you go? And who is that? Mother, I was entertaining this guest of ours. Will, this is my mother, Natsuhi. No introductions needed. Just tell me what you have to say. Huh? Did you say something? No, he said nothing. This is Will-san. It seems he knew the deceased. With a smile, Leon casually smothered over Will's words. He wants to know more about Beatrice. Do you know anything about her, Mother? Leon, the departed is an individual to whom the head owed a great debt. Nothing more, nothing less. This funeral is a ceremony for the head to repay his benefactors for all he received while that person still lived. That is what I've been told, and there is nothing more to it than that. Thanks, Mother. Well, that's all my mother knows. Natsu was eager to deny the scandal about Beatrice being Kinzo's mistress. However, she also had enough sense to realize that the scandal was probably true. Picking up that Natsu was in a bad mood and didn't want to talk about this anymore, Leon brought an end to that conversation before Will could say something rude again. Will, this chapel belongs to the family. So you're telling me to follow the family's rules. Speaking in a manner appropriate for guests of the family. Let me be the medium for all of your conversations. I ask that you follow those 2 rules. I'll work on that. The mess this Bernkastel witch or whatever has dragged us into is a real pain. Because of that, I'm willing to help you. But we're equal partners in this job, and you'd best not forget that. And here I thought you were just some well-bred rich kid. Seems you can speak up after all. I must be prepared to shoulder the Ushimiya family's future, after all. Got it. Let's solve this crime together, Watson. I'm glad I could help. I wouldn't want to keep your dear cat, Diana, waiting. Won't she need to be fed soon? I gave her extra food today, so she should be good for a while. Surprised you realized Diana was a cat. I figured it'd be just a bit too eccentric for her to be a human woman who scratches at sofas when you keep her waiting. Humph. So, who will you talk to first? Anyone. Everyone. Those ones over there are Krause's siblings, right? From right to left, there's Aunt Ava, Uncle Hideyoshi. Over there is Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Kirie. And over there is Ushiromiya Rosa. When she was a girl, she once got lost in the forest and bumped into a woman calling herself Beatrice at a hidden mansion. I know I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but you really do know everything, don't you? So, you know about that story too? I managed to overhear her saying that today. Looked as though it was bothering her, so I pretended not to hear. Real model student, aren't you are? Introduce me. Want to ask about it. You're asking this of the model student who pretended not to hear because it just might be a painful topic? Even this outrageous arrogance is nothing compared to Kinzo. After muttering this several times mentally, Leon shrugged and nodded at Will. Oh, it's our successor-sama. And who is this? Oh, Aunt Ava. This is Will-san. He came to offer flowers for the departed. But who cares about that? Tell me everything you know about... He says he wants to know what sort of relationship the Ushirmiya family has had with the deceased. Leon spoke with a bright smile after pinching Will's butt. Will silently protested, as though saying, I saw that coming, but damn, that hurt. But Leon just played dumb and smiled at Ava like a model student. Well, even if you say relationship with the Ushirmiya family, probably makes more sense to say her relationship with father. No need to beat around the bush. She was father's mistress. If you call her that, Natsu Nesan will yell at you again. He's indebted to her, right? Giggle. Yep, that's right. Wahahaha. Well, there you have it. I have no interest in anyone but Rosa. Ugh. I do believe that you said you met with Beatrice, Aunt Rosa. This whole time, Rosa had been hanging her head. Leon's words made her shoulders quiver. She just suddenly came out with it today. It's a bit hard to believe. It's the truth. I killed Beatrice. Perfect. Our work here is finished. Don't get ahead of yourself. Rosa broke down, crying, and laid her head on the table. Kiria and Hideyoshi tried to console her. Nakajima is covered by a dense forest. We only know about one tiny portion of it. Just the mansion, the rose garden, and the little path that leads to the harbor. For years, there's been stories about how Dad built a hidden mansion somewhere in the vast forest that no one knew about. That he had a mistress living there. Ursa-san probably stumbled on the hidden mansion by chance. However, what does this have to do with Aunt Rosa killing Beatrice? If I hadn't taken her out with me, she never would have died. She was so innocent, like a chick. I took her out. She just followed along obediently. She stayed right behind me, trusting me completely, because I made her take such a dangerous path. Did you make her walk that way because you were hoping she'd slip and fall from the cliff? I never meant to do that. I just thought she'd like to see the ocean. No. It just looked like the path would be hard to walk. And I thought it would be easier going if we went down the cliff first. That's not what it means to kill someone. It was an accident. An accident she never would have had if I hadn't brought her with me, right? It's my fault. And then I abandoned her when she was covered in blood and ran home. It isn't your fault. Beatrice had never seen the ocean before. You showed her that for the first time ever. She was probably so excited that she just happened to take a bad step. How can you know that? Beatrice might thank you for what you did, but she would never hate you. Really? Is that really true? She's the one who begged to see the world outside the fence, right? Though it was only for a short while, you made that dream of hers come true. If I were Beatrice, I'd thank you for that short bit of time. If she knew that you've been suffering all this time for it, she'd probably feel sorry for you. Beatrice is grateful for what you did. You're the one who taught her that the sea is blue. Is that true? I guarantee it. Will made that statement openly and boldly. Oh yeah, wasn't it when Battler got the gold truth? Right, Will's the rights are about guarantees. Okay. It wasn't clear how Rosa took those words. However, it had apparently been enough to remind Rosa to take a handkerchief out of her pocket and wipe her eyes with it. Thank you. Those are the words Beatrice is whispering to you, even now. Thank you. Rosa wiped her eyes with the handkerchief one more time and hung her head. It no longer looked like a fit of sobbing, but more as though she was speaking with the Beatrice of that day within her heart. One last time. You really have no problem making claims you could never back up, don't you? Back up? Is that really necessary to comfort a woman? It seems I underestimated you. How many years did it torment Rosa? Now finally, she'll probably be able to face that innocently smiling Beatrice, who had seen the ocean for the first time in her life. She was the only one who could forgive Rosa. Now, the two of them could finally speak together. I don't know who you are, but thank you. I wonder if she'll forgive me. You've worried about it for nearly 20 years. That's far too long. Yes, so it is 19 years ago. No, wait, no. Is it? No, it is, right. That's far too long. I should tell you that you've suffered more than enough already. That's right, Aunt Rosa. The sadder you are, the sadder Beatrice would be. You too. Thank you. I don't know if I'll be forgiven, but I'll keep on speaking to my heart to see whether she'll forgive me or not. Thanks, you too. Sorry for showing you such an embarrassing side of me. And I'm sorry to say this right after saying something so pretty. But I want you to talk to me. Tell me what happened back then. Wilson. Thanks, but it's fine. I'll talk. Hiding this and keeping quiet about it for so long might have been my greatest sin. Exactly when was it that you met Beatrice? Upon hearing this question, Rosa closed her eyes slightly, reaching back to a past she didn't want to remember. It was about 20 years ago. Might have been 19 or 18 years ago. I'm sorry. I've tried to force myself to forget it for so long that I've nearly forgotten that part completely. It should have been 1967. Novin had guaranteed that with the red truth in the third game. That's right. It was probably about 1967. I can remember what happened as clearly as a picture. I'll never forget. If it's tough for you, don't feel like you have to tell us. Yes, clear as a picture, if you don't mind. Damn it, that hurts, Leon. What does? At the time, I was in a state of shock since my tutor told Mother about something that was supposed to be a secret. On that day, I became reckless. I kept on running deeper and deeper into the forest. This tale has also been told in a previous fragment. Back when Rosa was just a kid, she went deep into the forest, found a hidden mansion, and met with a mysterious woman who called herself Beatrice. But that forest is so thick, even pushing your way through a bit of it is hard, right? I even surprised myself to think that I made it so far into such a dense forest. I was tormented by twigs and sharp leaves over and over again. However, that wasn't enough to bother me on that day. After all, I wanted to disappear into the forest and vanish forever. If by some chance there really was a witch's mansion in the depths of the forest, I hoped that she might take me to the sun paradise, or else turn me into a frog and make me a resident of the forest. So you then reached the hidden mansion, Kuadorian, and met a woman who called herself Beatrice. Yes, I met her. Was that Beatrice the same as the one in the portrait? Yes, they were the same person. Beautiful blue eyes, golden hair, a black dress. Truly was the person in that portrait. When Father first had it hung, I realized that the 20 years I'd spent trying to forget must have seemed just as long to Father, if not even longer. I became even more fearful of my sin. Stop there. Are we sure that this is the same Beatrice that Rosa-san met? Immediately, Kirie spoke the question that Will had been thinking of. It would be too rash to assume that the Beatrice Kinzo met and the one Rosa met were the same person. The time and generation didn't match up. Beatrice is supposed to be that lady of leisure who lent Dad all that gold shortly after the war, right? By using Beatrice's gold as a foundation, Father revived the Ushiromia family and got super rich. Then he bought Rakanjima and moved over. Rosa-san meeting her must have been at least 10 years after that. A woman who could do as she pleased with 10 tons of gold could hardly be some little girl. And 10 more years passed before she met Rosa. Rosa. How old did the Beatrice you met look? She looked older than I was at the time. But even so, it looked as though she might just be reaching adulthood. Yes, just the sort of age of the Beatrice in the portrait. Did she look middle-aged or past her prime? If I had to call her an adult or a child, she was clearly closer to being a child. There's no way she was middle-aged. And isn't that strange? You have the Beatrice you met and the Beatrice who gave Father the gold, but their ages don't match. In other words, they're different people. Different people. Look very similar and have the same name. Might have been her daughter. Kid would obviously end up looking like her mother. His mistress's daughter. It is possible. Perhaps Father had an illegitimate child with the Beatrice who gave him the gold. And then Rosa bumped into Beatrice II. That way, the ages fit just fine. I see. In other words, there are 2 people who can be called Beatrice. Kinzo secretly raised his mistress's child in a hidden mansion. It made sense. Everyone nodded, agreeing. However, Will's expression was slightly unsatisfied. He scratched at his head. So, it would seem that this funeral exists for the 2 Beatrices he couldn't mourn, because they were kept secret. Rosa, I know you probably don't want to remember, but tell me about that accident. After Beatrice fell, was she still breathing? No. Her eyes were open wide. She fell upside down, head first, and knocked her head against the sharp crag on the rocky beach. She fell from such a height. Her skull had split and caved inwards. That beautiful golden hair was stained red with blood almost instantly. Was it the sort of wound that clearly showed that she was dead? Yes. I saw the insides of her cracked head. It caved in deep enough to fit your fist inside. No one could be naive enough to see that and still hope that she was alive. Jeez. Well, do you really need to ask anything more? That's enough at the time of the accident. What did you do afterwards? I dashed away at full speed. Can't say I was thinking about calling for help. I wanted to escape from that place as fast as I could. Half crazed, sobbing, and out of breath. Kept on running about at random. Eventually I came across a familiar lion statue. Oh, the one in front of the chapel. No, the one behind it. Anyway, I made it back to the mansion. Couldn't tell anyone. I didn't want to. I stayed quiet until nightfall. It was so horrible of me. If I had hurried and told someone, they might have brought her a first aid kit and she might have been saved. How was the first aid kit gonna help with a crushed cranium? You didn't kill her. Don't worry about that anymore. Then, what did you do next? That night, I turned over in my bed so many times, I couldn't sleep. Late that night, I quietly called Genji-san on the phone and told him. What did he say? He told me to let him handle everything, and to speak of this to no one. I spent the next several days terrified that Father would call for me and scold me brutally. But he didn't. Genji-san kept on doing his job quietly, just like normal. Father stayed locked up in his study, not knowing any of it. At the very least, none of us ever heard about it. Genji-san probably managed to clean everything up nicely. After all, I couldn't let knowledge of that child go public. Even if she was an illegitimate child, she was still his daughter by blood. Must have been tough for father, not being able to hold a real funeral for her. I suppose that's why we're having this funeral. And then, that's all I know. And that's all I know too. I'm not hiding anything else. I've told you everything. I swear it. Will scratched at his head, letting his gaze wander. It had taken Rosa a lot of determination to make this confession, but it was nothing particularly special for Will. It had apparently been a little more than a review of information he already knew. Thanks, Aunt Rosa. Is that enough for you, Will? Are you satisfied? That's enough. It was a nice review. To Will, Rosa's memories gave only information that was already known. This was the first time he'd heard all that about her running back to the mansion after Beatrice fell to her death, but none of it was particularly surprising. Apparently, Rosa didn't know any more than this. If he wanted to learn more than what was in the fragments Bernkastel gave him, he would need to find a new testimony. Leon, tell Kenzo that I want to talk to him. Looks like we won't get anywhere without asking the man himself. Where are you going? I'll have to cool my head and organize my thoughts. Don't follow. Well then, pardon me. Please take your time. After giving an elegant bow, Leon made a face, tongue sticking out. Unless Will had eyes on the back of his head, he couldn't have seen this last bit. Will returned to the chapel by himself. The cold air and the monotonous sound of the rain were comforting. So, how was the game going? And he had come here for a little peace and quiet. As soon as he let out a sigh of relief, that voice rang out. That's my line. It was as though she had been sitting there all along. Bernkastel appeared on top of the altar once more. Beatrice's altar must have been extremely comfortable. Battler annoyed me over and over with his incompetence. You're quite competent compared to him, so it's much more relaxing to watch him work. Unlike Ushirmiya Battler's games, I have nothing standing in my way. It's easy. That sort of game has already ended. Tales can be enjoyed twice. First you love them, then you tear out their guts. Giggle, giggle. So I'm a butcher now. So, do you think you figured out who killed Beatrice? Rosa's confession is something I already know from a previous fragment. There was no brand new information. We're still at square one. Giggle, giggle. Unless Ushirmiya Kenzo tells us what really happened, we won't get any further than this. Don't tell me that arguing with Kenzo and persuading him to spill the beans is supposed to be part of this game. That'd be fatally boring. Kenzo refuses to speak of the truth and is himself the king protected by his castle. But it wouldn't be any fun to have that stand in the way of your game. I won't torture. It's not my style. I know. As the game master, I will grant you power, so that you can get the truth from Kenzo, of course. Still wearing shoes, Bernkastel stepped into the casket, picked up one of the flowers that had been set as offerings, and blew hard, as though scattering fluff from a dandelion. Then a single petal broke off and drifted down towards Will. No longer gold, but with the shine of a transparent crystal. The detective's authority. Humph. What? That pathetic ability? No. This is an invitation to the grandstands. Theater-going authority? That's supposed to be forbidden without an authorization from the Senate. I'm the one giving it on my game board. Who's gonna stop me? Humph. Though the crystal flower petal danced in the wind, wouldn't fly away until Will accepted it. He remembered how useless it was to argue with witches and snatched it up. When he did, the petal flashed brightly for an instant, melted into Will's palm, and disappeared. Entertain me if you can, and try and enjoy yourself. You must also be interested in seeing what the guts of Beatrice's game board look like, right? Not really. After Will's rude answer, Burkestell vanished into thin air, leaving behind an obnoxious laugh. After clicking his tongue, Will turned around unhappily. When he did, it felt as though his gaze had crossed that of a shadow standing right in front of him, near the door that led outside. Who is it? Pardon me, I heard a voice, so I wondered who it was. Ah, Shannon. So you're running the reception desk this time? Yes. I've been taking it in turns with Kennen-kun to run the reception desk. And Kennen? A short while ago, he was ordered by, Leon-sama to take a break, so he's resting now. So, you don't know Leon either. Huh? No, that's not. Ushirimiya Leon is the successor, the one who wears the silver ring. Why are you stumbling over that name when you've worked here for 10 years? That's... Don't worry. I don't recognize Leon either. Cross is supposed to be the successor. Jessica is supposed to be his only child. There hasn't been a single fragment with anyone named Leon in the Ushirimiya family. When she realized that Will didn't recognize Leon either, Shannon relaxed. Apparently she was a bit relieved to find that she wasn't going crazy by herself. However, her expression quickly grew uncertain once more. Where is this place? I think it's the Ushirimiya family chapel. However, something feels different about it. Also, I never knew that someone named Leon-sama existed. And yet Madame Kraus-sama, the master, Milady, and all the relatives all talk as though it's perfectly natural. I just don't understand what's happening. Leon is a piece placed by Burkestell. She also said that in order to place that piece, she switched over to a larger cat box. Yeah, I think in like 30 minutes I'll go to sleep. On top of that, it seems this world isn't a proper world, but one made out of several different fragments sewn together. It's as though this is a special stage set up specifically for this game. I'm sure she's nodding at my thoughts right now, laughing and chomping down popcorn. How long have you worked here in this world? 10 years. I see. So it really is a special stage. After all, right when I entered the chapel, I spotted Kenzo. Since Shannon has been working here for 10 years, this world takes place in 1986, the stage of Beato's game. In that case, Kenzo shouldn't exist. However, he definitely was here a few minutes ago. Burkestell promised that all the information needed for reasoning was gathered here. She must have really packed it together to fit everything in. I see. So it really is a special stage. You've served the Ushirimiya family for many years. So just how much do you know about Beatrice? I know the master loved her deeply, but other than that... Is that all? They say that she's the master of Rakanjima's knight. That's right. The name of the ghost rumored to wander the mansion night after night is also Beatrice. That brings the number of Beatrices to 3. First is the Beatrice from more than 30 years ago, who is said to have given Kenzo the gold. The second is the Beatrice from 20 years ago, who met Rosa. The third is the Beatrice of the ghost stories, who is rumored to be the master of the night in Nakajima. Furuto Erika's reasoning was probably correct. It started out as a legend of the evil spirits of Nakajima. Later on, elements such as Kinzo's occult hobbies, the name and portrait of the mysterious woman, Beatrice, and the epitaph got mixed in, and it was all integrated into the legend of the Golden Witch. Then, the darkness of the night gained the personality of a witch. That's the third Beatrice. This became the veil for the serial murders. Apparently she didn't understand a word of Will's sudden monologue. Shannon tried to follow along, but she seemed to be having difficulty. Don't waste your time trying to understand. You'll just get a headache. My apologies. Cannon doesn't know Leon either, right? Yes. Cannon-kun was the same as me. Shannon and Cannon, is it? Call Cannon over here. I want to talk to the pair of you about something. When Will said these words, Shannon's face went blank, and her eyes went wide. My apologies. We aren't allowed to leave the reception desk unmanned, so I can't leave to go get him. Then find a replacement and have them take over the reception desk until you get back. You, me, and Cannon. We, 3 people who don't know Leon, need to talk. We've been told that 1 person is enough to run the reception desk. But no one told you there was anything wrong with 2 people manning it, right? We're low on helpers today, so we were told that having 2 people at the reception desk would be unnecessary. Who gave you that order? Kinzo? Kraus? Or was it Leon? I'll check with them. It was the one who orders me. I cannot disobey orders. Who is this person? I'll negotiate with them. You cannot negotiate. It is the one who orders us. Call Cannon over here. I hate theater going just as much as I hate torture. Slowly, Will pulled his right hand out of his pocket. What's going on? When he slowly opened his fist, a small, bright glow emanated from it. The flower petal given to him by Burst Cell had become a glowing, sparkling mark on his hand. He held that hand towards Shannon and slowly approached her. Call Cannon. I want to check something with you too. I can not call him. Do you still want me to? Actually, I'm kind of curious. What is the voice acting like?
お呼びできません。それでもなお、お呼びできません。それでもなお、それをご希望ですか?
Oh, okay. Guess it was all at once. Okay. Can't call him, do you still want me to? If you don't call him, I'm gonna use my authority. If you insist, I can call him, especially for you, but there was some kind of incomprehensible tension between the two. Will stood there, his left hand still in his pocket and his right palm going stretched out towards her. Shannon just stood there, her hands still folded politely in front of her. Her posture beautiful, and it felt oddly as though wind-swept drops of rain were sparking and crackling in midair. I will go call Cannon-kun. Are you absolutely certain? 10. Will's expression had remained unchanged the whole time. Shannon's face was still kind and gentle, and yet the tension was as icy as a frozen lake. Beginners in chess will sometimes move their king into check without noticing it. One might mercilessly capture the king in this situation, but high-level players are supposed to calmly tell their opponents about their mistake. If you take one more step, you'll get captured. This was similar to that. I see. So after all... I get it. That's enough. You guys can take it in turns to run the reception desk. Slowly, Will lowered his hand. Thank you for understanding. The glow slowly vanished from Will's palm. That completely incomprehensible tension melted away like a sugar cube in water. However, nothing had changed since the beginning. Will's expression and Shannon's expression were the same as they always had been. Oh, are you leaving? Footsteps approached them. It was Leon. Just having a casual conversation. I wanted to ask her something. What could that be? Did you find what you were looking for? Yeah. I'm honored to have been of service. That's a shame. If you were looking for an umbrella, I could have gotten you one right away. Did you convince Kinzo? I told him that a rare guest wanted to greet him. He says he'll meet with you. Did you tell him that I wanted to ask about Beatrice? Isn't that your job? With a slightly mischievous look, Leon turned away. Will scratched his head and shrugged, looking annoyed. Well, guess I'll get a chance to try this out, at least. Will opened his right hand and showed it to Leon. It was just a hand without anything remotely remarkable about it. Leon's head tilted to the side in bafflement at this strange gesture. Good work. Wait, your name was... It's Shannon. That's right, Shannon. Please, take over the reception desk. Make sure you keep warm. Thank you very much, Leon-sama. Shannon bowed deeply in response to Leon's kind words. There was not even a trace of tension in her manner. Let's go, Will. You don't want to miss this chance. The head's mood changes quicker than the autumn sky. Good luck. Here we go. Okay, yeah, that should be a good stopping point. Right before talking to Kinzo, it really feels like... Well, now makes me wonder, are they all... Yeah, I guess they're all in the same body. The three of them. That's weird, though. Because they were in separate rooms. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Alright, let's save. Page 3. Finished episode 6 today. That was fun. I still think episode 3 is the favorite. But 6 would probably be the next best thing. And then probably 4. And then 2, 5, 1. That's probably the order. Yeah, that'll do it for me. I want it to go longer. Like, I'm tired. This is fun. So I don't know what the plan is for tomorrow. Because I might get kidnapped again and be forced to eat fajitas. So we'll see about that. But if anything, Monday, I'm not sure what's going on Monday. So we'll see what's up. But yeah, I definitely think we'll finish this week for sure. What is this week? It's the 15th, right? Calendar. It's like I want to finish it by Thursday, but that's not going to happen. I gotta. That's not going to happen. So we have this week, we have next week, and then we have the following week. All right. So it'll be plenty of time for Everhood. And then takes 2. Maybe try out Bumbo? I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, that's a stream. Thanks again to... Where is it? LucidGate01 for the follow. So, appreciate it. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Catch y'all later. Have a good one. And bye.